You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and this is a short first in a series I'm going to call Common Sense. After the ISIS-inspired Islamic terrorist attack on the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, which maimed 53 people and snuffed out the lives of 49 others, the topic of gun control is once again front and center on the American stage. What's different this time is that some conservative pundits and legislators are joining with the anti-gun left to call for restrictions on firearms, and they are doing so from a position of ignorance. Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson took to the air to ask the question, should assault weapons be banned? Let's see what she's got to say.
Every time we have a mass shooting, we talk about guns, right? Yes. The Orlando massacre was terror. But there's no doubt that Omar Mateen was able to kill so many people because he was firing an AR-15.
Well, first off, Ms. Carlson, the weapon used by the Islamic terrorist in Orlando was not an AR-15. This is the weapon used by the assailant. It's called a Sig Sauer MCX carbine. It's a modular, multi-caliber weapon system that can be customized to fire a variety of different caliber rounds, including 5.56 NATO, 300 BLK, and 7.62 by 3.9. The only thing that weapon has in common with the AR-15, other than the fact that it is black, is that it accepts standard magazines which are common to scores of different firearms. I'd like to point out that the gun control legislation currently before Congress specifically exempts this weapon, a Mini 14 named after my late wife Delynn, from further restrictions. Yet it would ban the sale of weapons such as this AR-15, named in honor of my late daughter Ashley. Both of these beautiful ladies are lightweight, gas-operated, magazine-fed, air-cooled semi-automatic rifles. Both weapons fire .223 caliber and 5.56 NATO rounds at a muzzle velocity of 3,200 feet per second. Both weapons have an effective range of just over 500 yards. Both weapons are semi-automatic, and that means that they are not machine guns, as the liar Dirty Harry Reid proclaimed on the floor of the Senate. A machine gun will continue firing with one press of the trigger until the shooter lifts that finger from the trigger. But both of these weapons send only one round downrange with each pull of the trigger. Fully automatic firearms are already banned for civilian use by the National Firearms Act of 1934, the Gun Control Act of 1968, and the Firearm Ownership Protection Act of 1986. Fully automatic firearms are for military and police use almost exclusively. You cannot buy them at Walmart. By every scientific and practical measure, these weapons are identical in function. The only differences are cosmetic. And anyone who says any different is either ignorant of the subject matter, a left-wing gun grabber, or a special kind of stupid. The Mini 14 weighs in at 6 pounds 6 ounces without ammunition. The AR-15, 1 pound 1 ounce less. That's because instead of the wooden stock on the Mini 14, the AR uses a composite plastic barrel guard that allows for the easy installation of accessories. Let's take a look at some of those accessories, shall we? This flashlight does not make the weapon any deadlier, but it did come in handy as I left the woods each night last hunting season. This laser sight does not make the weapon any deadlier, just more accurate. The telescoping stock does not make the weapon any deadlier, just easier to customize to the length of the shooter's arm. The pistol grip does not make the weapon any deadlier, just easier to control. The flash suppressor does not make the weapon any deadlier, just more polite. Most importantly, the black color does not make this weapon any deadlier. And if anybody thinks that it does, then they just might be a racist. Or really, really dumb. Hashtag Black Guns Matter. So, back to Gretchen. An AR-15 was not used to murder all of those innocent people, but let's not allow that inconvenient fact to muddy the discussion. Please do continue.
He was firing an AR-15, a military-style assault weapon, a weapon easier to buy in the state of Florida than buying a handgun. Florida sets a 3-day waiting period for purchasing handguns, but the state mandates no waiting period for any gun that requires 2 hands to hold.
The reason that Florida has a 3-day waiting period for handguns is because handguns are used in a majority of firearm homicides. It's called a cooling off period, and it is designed to allow those who get so angry at another person that they think buying a gun and taking their life would be a good idea time to think about that decision. The reason that there is no waiting period to buy a rifle is that less than 1% of firearm homicides are committed with a rifle of any kind. The latest FBI statistics reveal that out of the 8,124 gun murders committed in 2014, only 248 were committed with rifles, and so-called assault rifles comprised only a subset of that number. In 2014, an American citizen was twice as likely to be beaten to death with an assailant's bare hands, and more than 5 times as likely to be stabbed to death than they were to be killed by an AR-15. In fact, if one were to discount gun homicides in the cities of Chicago, Detroit, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C., where Democrats and drug gangs overwhelmingly use handguns to turn the streets of those cities into battlefields that are bloodier than any in Afghanistan, the United States would be the 4th safest country on the planet. So maybe if we really want to decrease gun violence, we should ban Democrats.
President Obama and gun control advocates have repeatedly called for reinstating the federal ban on semi-automatic assault weapons that expired in 2004. Congress has said no.
Congress said no because the assault weapons ban signed into law by Bill Clinton is widely recognized to have been an utter waste of time and energy, having negligible impact on real-life gun violence at all. Clinton even blamed passage of the ban on the subsequent trouncing received by Democrats in the polls. Republicans remember that. Just ask the New York Times how successful the Clinton assault weapons ban was at the time.
So what do you think? A recent Quinnipiac poll shows 58% of you support banning the sale of assault-style weapons. So here's my question today. Do we need AR-15s to hunt and kill deer? Do we need them to protect our families?
The answer to that question is yes. We do need the lightweight, accurate AR-15 to hunt deer and protect our families. But, as Judge Andrew Napolitano has stated many times on Fox, the Second Amendment is not about hunting, nor even personal protection. The Second Amendment was added to the Constitution to give we the people the ability to overthrow a tyrannical government should that dark day ever come. And to listen to the ACLU, that day has already come. You can click this link right here to hear ACLU attorney Nate Wessler call Barack Obama judge, jury, and executioner, a set of characteristics described by founding father James Madison as the very definition of tyranny in Federalist Paper number 43.
Yes, I'm in favor of people being able to carry. I think some of these mass shootings would have been less deadly if that were the case.
I'm so happy that you agree I have a natural right to life, Miss Carlson. You know, I was in a shopping center not too far from here the other day, and a little old lady come up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder, and she pointed to my weapon and she said, "That's cool. I wish more people would carry guns." No, ma'am, I said, it's not cool. But in today's world, it's absolutely necessary. And I'll tell you one other thing. You could not possibly be safer than you are right at this very moment. She liked that. So I will continue to carry my weapon every single day, 24/7, 365, in order to preserve my life and the lives of the innocents around me. I have to, because as a conservative Christian publisher, I get death threats all of the time, but the FBI won't do anything about it. Why? Probably because I'm a conservative Christian publisher. One man who offered a reward for my death and the deaths of my family members, in addition to explicitly threatening the lives of federal agents in a YouTube video, is still actively posting.
If it means I have to put a bullet in a government agent or two, so be it.
As far as I know, the FBI never even went out to see him, even though I told them about him over almost 2 years ago now. So I assume responsibility for my safety and the safety of those people that I love, and anybody else that happens to be in the general vicinity.
But I'm also with the majority today, taking a stand. Can't we hold true the sanctity of the Second Amendment while still having common sense? And that brings us to our question of the day. Should Congress reinstate the assault weapons ban? I know a lot of you aren't agree with me today. That's fine. That's what makes America great. Look, you don't. 89% of you say no, 11% say yes. Tweet me at Gretchen Carlson. Use the hashtag #TheRealStory. This is why we are America.
Ms. Carlson, before the Pulse nightclub massacre, the highest mass shooting body count was racked up by the Virginia Tech shooter who killed 32 and injured 17 with 2 handguns, a Glock 19 and a Walther P22, both popular and easily available weapons. Timothy McVeigh snuffed out the lives of 168 people at Oklahoma City's Alfred P. Murrah building, including 19 babies, and maimed another 680 with a truck full of fertilizer and racing fuel. Julio Gonzalez killed 87 people when he used a few gallons of gas and a book of matches to torch New York City's Happy Land Social Club in 1990. Terrorists armed with knives killed 29 and wounded 130 people at a Chinese train station in 2014, and the Palestinian knife intifada continues to this day. On 9/11/2001, the worst terrorist attack the U.S. has ever experienced, which took the lives of more than 3,000 innocent people, was carried out by Muslims, armed with nothing more than box cutters and pepper spray. A gun is just a tool, folks. It's a hard heart that kills, and a sick one that murders innocents at school, at work, or at play. Until somebody comes up with a test to determine the content of a person's heart, there will always be evil people in the world who will use any available method to advance whatever devilish agenda has infected their twisted minds. Further restricting guns is not the answer, especially not now when we are at war with radical Islam. When any trip to our children's schools, a mall, restaurant, movie theater, or dance club could turn into a life or death situation. I fear that soft targets such as these will be targeted by ISIS terrorists more and more, and in the 9 minutes minimum that it takes police to respond to a call for help, hundreds could die. Every American citizen is a member of the militia referred to by the Second Amendment, and they should have weaponry that at least gives them a fighting chance against the modern weapons certain to be wielded by tyrants or terrorists. Now is the time for that American militia to train to repel attacks on this great nation by the bloodthirsty followers of a bloodthirsty religion and a bloodthirsty God. Even Greg Gutfeld says so. And who am I to argue with Greg? He's like Mighty Mouse. And that's my take. I'd like to remind everybody to go to bobpowell.blogspot.com and donate whatever won't put you out towards my trip to the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, where Donald Trump will be crowned the party's nominee. I intend to be on the ground where the metal meets the meat, broadcasting events live as they happen. Even if you can't make a monetary donation, you can help by sharing this show, this episode, as well as all the others with your friends. And folks, please keep us covered in your prayers as we go forth to save lives and win souls for Jesus Christ in these very last days. Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Smack, runner, your game is through. Smack, runner, I'm talking to you.